Hi, ladies. I wanted to take a moment and go over the segment and write word lists just to help you start learning how to use these to differentiate amongst your groups. Some of you are ready to move on, and some of you are not. So, all of you currently have been working from this practice 4 and practice 5, really focusing on those H brothers. Um, I would recommend that on Monday you start out your go ahead and do your vowel practice, but then instead of doing segment and write, I would do an end practice. So taking one of these word lists and just giving those words like a spelling test, like you did in the past on our last end assessment that we did. Um, you can use this information to guide whether or not your kids are ready to move on. Um, Larissa, I'm pretty sure your kids are going to be ready for that, so I would plan to go ahead and move on with your group. Brooke, I'm guessing yours are very close. And Lauren, just take a close look at what your kiddos are doing. If you think they need an extra day or two on these sounds, then go ahead and go back to practice 5 and practice 4 to pull your words. Um, The next lesson after that assessment is the NG lesson. Um, this is a really tricky one to do with segment and write. So what I would recommend that you do is spend one day doing this as a teach lesson. Okay, and if you're having trouble with these sounds, talk to me tomorrow or get back online on Pathways to Reading and review that sound. You're using the back of your tongue and lifting it up to make that sound, okay? You want to be really careful not to make an ing or a ong, that kind of thing, because then you're adding the vowel sound. It's just a good, clear okay? So spend one day doing that as a teach lesson. Spend one day using this word guide right here to choose words for a lesson and segmenting those. And then I would spend the remainder of the week looking at word families instead of these continuing on with the isolation of the NG. It's just one of those ones that's just really difficult to master at this level. And I have found that by doing it in word families and doing a focus there. So I would look at doing ing, ong, ung, and ang. Because the tricky thing when you have ing, the way our mouth works, it distorts that I to make it sound like an E. Um, so by just having a bunch of words that have those word families in there and letting them separate those out and sort or do some kind of game with those words where they're able to practice reading those words is much more important than continuing on with segment right and making this perfect. It's just really too difficult. Um, One of the things that I always use, of course, with the name King, it really works well. I always tell them I'm the king of ing, and that gives them a good model of another word that has that in there. Um, but I would look at for some games or some sorting activities you could do with those word families. And then I would just not even worry about the next end practice. Just go ahead and move on, and we need to get them started on long vowels. This probably would be next week at the earliest, so I wouldn't worry. Just be thinking ahead that these are coming up next. And if you'll notice, there are some pages here that list the small group manual. I will work on getting those copied for you so you can kind of see the language of how that one goes since I won't be there to model it for you, and I will get those to you. Okay, if you have any questions about that, just let me know and I will be happy to answer them or meet with you tomorrow so that we can get that taken care of. Thanks a lot.